Earth is abundant with life and thriving. However, this wasn't always guaranteed. Earth could just be like the millions of other planets in our galaxy, uninhabitable and a ball of poisonous gas. It was actually pure luck that our planet is suitable for human life. Earth is only like this due to its position in the Goldilocks zone. The Goldilocks zone, also known as the Habitable zone, is an area in space that possesses the necessary conditions to sustain life for a significant amount of time.
What's your definition on a habitable zone in space?
The widely considered habitable zone is the zone in which carbon life forms could theoretically exist. This calculates for water, this calculates for distance from the sun and to I think sometimes moon, depends on the habitable zone. What it's calculating for is whether or not the distance to the sun is both not too far away, so that's impossibly cold, or not too close so that you are burning alive. It is not. It's very wide, and most human things could not live in most habitable zones. But it's calculating for carbon life in general. It does not calculate for non-carbon-based life forms, so you have to consider what do they need other than water, what temperatures do they need, etc.
So the planet currently listed as the most similar to Earth is Kepler 452b. Do you think that humans could survive on that planet, given it is located in a habitable zone?
I think that there is no way to know. Habitable zone is just the absolute bare minimum. What would be important is foliage, whether or not there's enzymes and proteins that we can consume at all, let alone consume with high nutritional value. Reactivity to the atmosphere. Actually, they probably calculated for that. They said in the most habitable atmosphere, but even then, there's things we don't know. Life forms, plant life, all that good stuff. There's no way to know just off habitable zone. It's entirely possible and it's necessary, but we do not know how carbon life would sustain itself now.
How similar do you think other carbon life forms might be to humans?
Extremely and utterly dissimilar in every way we can think of, I think. Even on a habitable zone, there's just so many, like the Nova problem, there are so many actions upon actions upon actions that affected, assuming evolutionary values that we committed. For example, the amount of time we spend in the womb was so drastically changed because of our intelligence, because our head got so big we literally couldn't fit out. We were originally 13, 14 months gestation period. Now we're 9 because our heads are so big. And that's only viable because we became powerful enough to sustain ourselves against predators, even though we were weak babies. That's why it takes so long for us to learn to walk, learn to talk, while a giraffe can learn to walk within an hour.
And final question. So what do you think is the probability that there are alien life forms in most habitable zones?
I think that there is not infinite, but approaching enough to be irrational to say otherwise, infinite amount of habitable zones, habitable planets. Therefore, it is irrational and stupid to think that there are not alien life forms out there. We will never meet them. They're too far away. But there is no chance at all that there are no carbon-based life forms or non-carbon-based life forms even.
Thank you.
These areas may vary in temperature, as not all life forms could survive in the same conditions as life on Earth. There also needs to be a reasonable amount of water, and food must be present or able to be grown in the zone. The Earth is in a habitable zone, and this basically ensures life on Earth. Earth is in one of the only ranges in our solar system that is just right to support life. If Earth weren't located in our solar system's habitable zone, it would not be suitable for any forms of life, including humans.
Of a habitable zone.
A habitable zone is like a place that's suitable for life, somewhere where like an organism can like live and thrive.
What do you think it means if a planet were to be located in a habitable zone?
If a planet were located in a habitable zone, then stuff can live there. So places like Earth, plants, animals, life.
Do you think it could support the majority of carbon-based life forms?
Yeah, the carbon-based life forms, they need that kind of environment, so they would be able to live in a place like that, yeah.
If you were to consider that maybe some alien organisms would require different temperature ranges than humans or others, do you still think that most of them could survive in a habitable zone?
Well, a habitable zone has to be catered towards what can live there. Like an alien that needs to live in like negative 300 degree weather isn't going to survive on Earth, because that just doesn't exist on here. A habitable zone has to be catered towards a specific organism.
Thank you.
Habitable zones are the only place in a solar system where the conditions of the planet would allow liquid water to exist on the surface. This is huge because water existing on the surface is a large step in indicating if a planet could support life. If the planet is far enough from the star that the water doesn't boil and close enough that the water doesn't freeze, it shows a great possibility of life because there are two necessities needed for survival present on the planet: liquid water and temperatures that are reasonable for beings to live on that planet. Habitable zones are the only place in a solar system where the conditions of the planet would allow liquid water to exist on the surface. This is huge because water existing on the surface is a large step in indicating if a planet could support life. If the planet is far enough from a star that the water doesn't boil and is close enough that the water doesn't freeze, it shows a great possibility of life because there are two necessities. Therefore, whether or not a planet is located in the habitable zone of the solar system is one key indicator that scientists use when observing planets and deciding if they are habitable. Scientists first started becoming interested in other planets that had similar attributes and characteristics to Earth in the early and mid 1900s, with the term habitable only being invented in 1959. Back then, scientists didn't seriously consider other habitable planets because they didn't really see the need or importance of them. However, with the improvement of space, technology, and telescopes, interest in habitable zones and planets that could also host life has skyrocketed. Nowadays, especially with Earth's increasingly harsher conditions, interest in how other planets can support life forms has increased. In this decade alone, NASA's Artemis mission is planning to be on Mars by 2030, where habitable zones help show scientists that Mars could indeed be a livable planet with its subterranean water. With advancements like this, a renaissance in space travel to other planets and moons has started. Habitable zones have also allowed scientists to find other planets which have a similar makeup to Earth's, such as planet Kepler 452b. Kepler 452b is the most Earth-like planet known to humanity. This planet is in its solar system's habitable zone. When viewed through the Kepler Space Telescope, the planet has colors that suggest water has dried out. Planets will go through phases of life in vibrant colors, then gray and brown dust, so water could exist and be in liquid state on the planet's surface. So the planet Kepler 452b could very well also be capable of maintaining survival conditions. All is shown simply because of its placement in a habitable zone. Habitable zones act like a cosmic oasis, perfect for suggesting and supporting life, from showing factors like temperature to the probability of water on a planet, even assisting us in finding planets similar to our home, Earth. Habitable zones clearly help indicate whether or not a planet has survivable conditions. Now, with life on Earth developing so quickly, what do you think about the chances and ethics of finding another planet close and similar enough, basically a second Earth, to host potential other life forms?